All right. Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great day. Starting to see people come in. We are streaming to multiple locations today, and so we would love to know in the comments if you're on YouTube or LinkedIn. We'd love to know where you are tuning in from today. We have folks from New Zealand, where Marcus is from. I'm in Canada myself. Would love to know where you are streaming in from today as you join us. But welcome to our webinar. Today, the title is Page Proof and Asana in Action, Streamlining Creative Approvals in Sports and Entertainment. We've got a fantastic webinar for you today. If you're a fan of Asana and Page Proof, you're really going to love the programming that we have ready for you today. But let's get into some introductions. My name is Marquis Murray. I am the CEO and founder at Surface, and we are a systems improvement consultancy. We help teams all over the world get the most out of their Asana investment by showing them how to best utilize the tool, how to integrate it with the various tools that they use in their stack. Today, we're highlighting Page Proof as one of our partners, and we're so happy to be doing that. I also want to introduce to the stage Marcus Radic. Marcus is the CTO and co-founder of Page Proof, and easily one of the most genuine people that I've ever met in my entire life. We actually first connected about a month ago for a customer webinar that we host every single month. And we had the opportunity last week to connect for the first time in person at Asana's Work Innovation Summit in New York City. And quick funny story, we hadn't met in person before. We'd only seen each other virtually. We basically spent the better part of 5 or 6 hours like seeing each other. We were in the same room. We sat beside each other for an extended period of time, but we didn't realize that we were who we were, right? The context was different. The placing was different. And it was that evening at a happy hour for all the different partners, but that we realized, oh, you're Marcus. Oh, I'm Marquis. And it was just this really funny moment where, we should have known, but again, the internet does different things. So Marcus, so glad to have you here. Marcus has built Page Proof into a platform that creative teams love. But above all, Marcus is the type of partner who really makes collaboration genuinely enjoyable. Marcus, feel free to fill in any blanks
No.
introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you for the intro. Very, very kind. It's great to meet you in person as well. It's always difficult going from on screen to in person, especially when you're surrounded with so many people. The Work Innovation Summit was there was a lot of people, a lot of things going on, and it was really great to connect with you and the team. I'm as you introduced, I'm one of the co-founders of Page Proof. We have been in the online proofing space for the last 10 years, helping companies large and small and government and all sorts of different organizations all around the world get their marketing and creative work approved in the right order, on time, and out to market with a full compliance audit behind it. So that's what we do. And I'm really excited to share and go through the webinar with you today.
Perfect. Yeah, we're going to get lots of time for Marcus to share on the connectivity and the streamlined workflows that we can create between Asana and Page Proof. And so before we get there, I want to tell you a bit more about Surface, our group. Again, we're a systems improvement consultancy. We happen to be based in Canada, but we have a global footprint. And so we help customers all over the world get the most out of their tool. We're both services and solutions partners. So we both support the sales team as well as the professional services team at Asana, and we're happy to share that we are Page Proof Platinum partners as well. So we get to help customers get the most out of Asana, and then Page Proof for their more complex approvals, and proofing, and integrate that with the platform that we love and use every single day. I mentioned we were in New York last week for Asana's annual Work Innovation Summit, where I'm happy to share that Surface was named Asana's Partner of the Year for the Americas. And so it's just a really great opportunity to connect with our partners and the team that makes this all run. And so I figured I'll just throw that in there just for a little bit of fun as well, because it's fresh. But let's get into the content. We want to talk about why approvals break down. That's why we're all here today. We have this shared understanding, and I just want to provide some context before we really dig in. And so we see a lot of times that these approvals break down when teams don't have a single way to track feedback and sign-offs. We see that feedback sign-offs are happening in different places by different people, right? And they're not centralized. And so these disconnected systems and communication channels create bottlenecks and delays when it really comes to getting work approved. You're on the call, you're watching today, you're nodding along, you're like, yep, that sounds really familiar. And personally, at Surface, our team, we've worked with hundreds of teams. And when we start working with them, we see that. We see that approvals are happening in places like email. We see that they're happening in Teams, Slack, and in many cases, they're happening in live meetings. But the problem is that the approvals and the communication, is not happening in the same place where the work is actually happening, whether that's in Asana or whether that's, your Creative Cloud or whether that's Figma. And so there is a disconnect. And we want to talk about how we bridge those gaps today. And so what we often hear from different teams, this recurring problem, this thing we see over and over again, teams tell us that oftentimes feedback is scattered. It's living in too many places. It's causing confusion. And the most common points of confusion is really who is holding the ball. Who is up next? What's the handoff look like? And really, where can I go? The second thing that we see is that people are wondering, what is the latest status of the asset that's in review? This could be some artwork. This could be a PDF of some kind with some legal language, right? What's the next step? What are we looking at here? We also see that it's tough for teams to understand what the latest version is, right? And we see that this leads to missed sign-offs. We see this leads to a lack of visibility into the progress. And so it's these frustrations that we're seeing over and over again. It's really why we're here today. But they're not unique. Like I mentioned earlier, like we see them in different industries, in different use cases. We see it in sales teams. We see it in legal teams. And we especially see it in marketing. And so that's why we want to dive in today to see how we can help marketing teams really improve the visibility, the clarity, and the process in all the work that they do. And again, these are common across all industries. So again, if you're nodding your head, right, know that on this call, at least you're not alone. And so we're really glad that you're here today. Now, we want to look at really the core issue today before we go any further. I'm going to hand it off to Marcus here in a minute, but this is at least something we can all agree on. It's that when feedback isn't tied directly to the original task or deliverable, approvals slow down or they stop completely. And we know what that can actually translate to when we're in our day-to-day. These stalls mean that teams are wasting time and resources, engaging really in needless work and a never-ending cycle of what's the status. And so like we sometimes refer to it as the big scavenger hunt. You're often hunting for things, wondering what's going on and where do I look? And so for us, solving this means bringing the feedback loop into the workflow. So every comment and person involved in the process leads directly to, actionable progress. So I'm going to hand it over to Marcus now to talk through the challenges that marketing teams often face when it comes to the creative process. So Marcus, did you want to share your screen or you want me to keep me up? There it is. Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's switch over here.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And yes, look, we work with companies who have exactly the issues that you described in this process. And it's quite amazing how people look at the whole approval process as being typically it's done via email. It is probably the number one thing that we see whenever we're talking to organizations about their approval workflows is, where's your work? And even though there are tools in place like Asana and others, email is where everything will fall to. And then when you need to look and see exactly, where is this? We're on a tight deadline. It's really hard to find. So what we found and we've seen, and we have a number of customers in sports teams. We've got a lot of sports teams using PageProof for their approvals because there's a lot of material created, and in entertainment as well. There's a lot of promotional material. You'll see things like flyers. If you look inside of a stadium, for example, for a sports game, there's all of the advertising around the edge of the stadium. There's shirts that have all the branding on. There's lots and lots of material. That material needs to be approved. And typically what we find is that the deadlines are super tight, so we need to be able to get through a process really quickly. And we also need to make sure that everybody's involved. So the stakeholders that are involved with this process do actually put their eyes across it. That's really, really important. And then the third point here, are we staying on brand? Have we got the right sneakers on the players that are inside of inside all the marketing material that we're looking at? So that's really important. And the last point here is PageProof is a fully encrypted platform, and it's all about keeping that material confidential and out of the hands of the public until it's ready. That's a really important point. There's emails can be a bit random. You can send things out. The last thing you want to do is pre-announce something before an event is actually ready. So the confidentiality and this content security is really important as well. So these are some of the challenges that people face when trying to get approvals done. And when you add that first one, the tight deadline, into the mix, it really does spark trouble because people are working quickly. They want one place that they can see where everything is, and they really want to be able to get their things approved as fast as possible. Okay, so I'll click into the next one here. So we have built an integration with Asana. We've had an integration with Asana for a long time now, I think over 5 years. The great thing about this is that you can connect your work, and you have essentially Asana tracking your progress, the timeline behind things, and who's going to be doing this work. So Asana really, really shines, as you all know, at doing that. It's the best in breed for doing that sort of work. And then for PageProof, we're best in breed for managing the proofing, the feedback, and the approvals. So any media type that you have, whether it's a piece of video, it's a promotional flyer, it could be some photography, it could be a Figma prototype. We take any kind of work that you're working on and you can put it through an approval process. What we're going to do is actually look at that and look at that together. So my demonstration is literally going to start in Asana, and we're going to move through into PageProof. I'm going to throw in a little bit of Creative Cloud for those designers that are looking at this, and then we'll come back and look at how that all works as one continuous workflow. And it's really great. We talk about going from a draft to approved or a draft to done, and that is the job of PageProof. So the whole idea behind this, we can make this whole process seamless. We can speed up the delivery and then make sure that all the creative is correct and all the stakeholders can see what is going on. So they can be inside of Asana. You've got your project management team, you've got people that are in charge of the delivery, can sit inside of Asana and see all the approvals in real time, updating statuses and things, which is super cool. And we'll look at that as we go through. Okay, so when we actually look at what goes on in terms of the tools that we're working with, we want to make sure that the approvals happening inside of PageProof are updating the statuses, inside of Asana, but you also want that to be inside of your design tools. So a really good thing is that we've got a mantra at PageProof, which is, make sure PageProof is where people want it to be. So with Asana, we're right inside of Creative Cloud, we're inside there, we're inside Figma, Canva, Adobe Express, Microsoft Office. We have plugins into all of those tools. So we go where you need us to be. So it's a really, really great combination. And of course, it's updating Asana along the way. So sports entertainment, I think diving into a bit of detail here about what it is why sports entertainment is a really a good category to show in this webinar. There's a lot of different file types. When promoting an entertainment event or you're promoting a sports event, you are not just saying, hey, here's my sports event, come and see us. You have got YouTube content, you have got flyers that go out via emails, there's lots of social banners and things that go out promoting the event. There will be pieces of content that go into as inserts into other content. So you've got, I'm not going to say blog posts, but you've got content that's being distributed. All of this has to have the same message and has to be consistent. So all the file types that we support help support these teams get everything approved in one place. So that's a really important thing. Any file type that you're working with, PageProof will support it, which extends the functionality outside of Asana as well. You can do things inside of PageProof, like zooming in on the content. You can put markup and feedback on it. So you can say, oh, there's a spelling mistake here. Comment on it. You can mention other people. You're able to measure elements on the content as well. This also extends to all the media types. So you can do all of these functions inside of PageProof on the different media types. We also know that it's not necessary to have people all approving at the same time. And the reason why I say that is, in an approval process, you would probably want something along the lines of, hey, let's get the creative team to check it first. Once they're okay with it, let's get it into the marketing team so they can check it. Once marketing has signed off on it, now let's put it to the legal team so they're able to check it as well. So this is an important part of the PageProof functionality, which is automated workflows that routes the work from team to team to team in the right order. So you're getting your feedback from the teams in the right order, which is important. And we can even pop up a checklist as well so that reminds people of the things they need to do on the proof. Now, one thing that it's one of our superpowers actually, and that's the word in the middle of the screen there, which is reminders. Now, what's interesting about people using a manual process for trying to get approvals is that you need to manually follow people up. So you've either got to, has that person looked at my work? And you go into your email and you go, okay, where's James? Yes, right, James. James, can you please follow up my work? So you're spending your time chasing people, and we call that herding cats. It's one of the terminology. It's a piece of terminology used by a lot of designers and creative people. Is, hey, I spend half my day herding cats, trying to get people to look at my work and give me the feedback on time. So with the automated workflow feature in PageProof and the reminders, that is done automatically, and there's no more herding cats. So that's a really important point. Okay, last point here. We have a lot of different functionality inside of PageProof, allowing you to not just annotate, but if you are into printing, we have some specialized printing tools, especially for packaging and that kind of content. You can check things like QR codes and barcodes, spell check. There's importing comments from other tools. There's a huge range of different features that we have inside of PageProof, and I'll show you some of these as we go through. Okay, so although we get on really well, we also have a competitive side of us. So Surface and Pageproof have got this basketball game coming up. And we're going to be having a bit of a challenge here coming up. We've booked out Madison Square Garden, and we're going to be sending the teams out for that playoff in game one. And what I'm going to do is take you through a use case of how you would use Pageproof and Asana to manage the approvals for all the different pieces of content that you're going to use in the lead up to this amazing challenge and this amazing game that we've got coming up. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to jump over into Asana and take a look at how the approvals work. So let's do that. Let's jump in and take a look. Okay, so I've gone straight into the detail here. So this is our Asana project for managing that Madison Square Garden game one. And you can see there are a bunch of different things that are already, some of these things are approved. The storybook's been approved. We've got here some social posts and some samples that are on hold. So some of these things didn't quite go as far as we thought. And then in my work in progress, we've got the packaging here for all of the basketballs. That's currently, you can see the status here. It's to-dos requested. So that's great. And the video for YouTube is back with the editor. So, okay, that work in progress is happening. But at the top here, you'll see there are some things that are just starting off, just kicking off here. And the one I wanted to focus on here was the game flyer. So if we look here, you can see there's a task that's been allocated to me. And if I click into that task, I can see, okay, right, it's been assigned to me. If I look down, create some artwork for the game between the Sharks and the Panthers. So, and it has to have information about the teams in the venue. Okay, great. So as a designer, I've read my brief and I've created a piece, my first cut of the artwork. And I've decided to just pop that piece of artwork into Asana. So if you scroll down, you can see there's a piece of artwork here that I've popped into Asana, and I want to now send this out for approval. Now, what I want to do is use Pageproof to do that, and I've got Pageproof is the Pageproof I can see here. This is the Pageproof add-on. So this has been added to the Asana board. Now, the great thing with this is I can just simply come in here and say, create new proof. And what it's going to do is it connects over to Pageproof and sets us up for this particular piece of approval that we want to send out. So I can go in here and I'm able to just check, what's the name of the approval over in Pageproof. I can see the due date. It's picked it up from the Asana task, and it's picked up that piece of media. And so you can see if I had multiple files in here, I could actually just choose one from here. So I'm going to go with that. I want to send this out for approval. So I'm going to click here and say, let's submit that in for approval. That is going to update the information inside of Asana. And you can see at the top here, I've got a field that's Pageproof status, and it's telling us we've got a new approval underway. And then I see here, this widget that's inside of Asana has inflated out, and I can click into it now and go over to my setup screen. Now, this setup screen is split in two. Left-hand side of the screen, this is information about my piece of work, and we can see it's connected to my Asana task. And I've got my deadline here, so that's all great. And these are my automated reminders. So I talked about that superpower of having Pageproof herding the cats for you. This is what I mean. You can set up these reminders, and Pageproof is going to chase people on these intervals. Now, I could do this if I wanted to, but I'm not going to make any friends doing this. So you can set up the intervals that you feel comfortable with. And then there's some options down here for sharing and making it downloadable and all those sorts of things, but we'll cover those off another time. Over here, we can see the reviewers. These are the people that are going to leave feedback and collaborate on my work. And I have got workflow templates already set up. So you can create templates in advance. So it means that all you need to do is pop this menu down and say, I want to send this out to the marketing team for approval. So that is now loaded a Pageproof workflow, and you can see it's a multi-stage workflow. So this is a really great way of gathering feedback from the team in the right order. So looking at this workflow, just a quick explanation. It's going to go to the creative check first. So the creative team, they're going to look at the proof. They are going to be able to leave their feedback, and those 3 people that you see in there, they will be able to leave feedback, see each other's comments, and they can even mention each other and collaborate to get it done. The bottom of the step, you can see there's a threshold here. So once we have got all the approvals that we need, then PageProof is going to invite the product team. So the product team are going to come in, they're going to check to make sure, hey, have we got the right branding? Have we got the right, things inside the scene? Have we got this and that? So they can go through now and check all of the elements to do with the product being the brand or what it is that we're putting out. So you can see we've got all of those people there. Once they have made their decisions, then it's going to our legal team next. They can check it, make sure the terms and conditions are right. Is everything okay in here? And then finally at the bottom, we've got our stakeholder. And this person is the one who ultimately can sign off the piece of work. So you can build these workflows in any way that you like. You can add steps in. You can have everyone in one step if you want to. And you can set a deadline per step if you want to as well. So lots of options here for constructing your workflows. Really, really powerful. Now, one thing to note, the people inside the workflow are not connected to your Asana licensing. And the great thing with that is you can add into here freelancers, legal counsel might be external. You might have somebody who works in your brand team, but not necessarily in your Asana. So this workflow is literally, it's literally email addresses and roles and permissions. So super useful. Now, the last part of this I wanted to show before we send this proof out is this checklist. You can add a checklist to your proof. So the whole idea of the checklist is that is going to show this up on screen when the proof opens. It's going to pop up and it's going to remind the reviewers on what it is they need to look at. So you can define these checklists. This is just one example here. And they will be able to go through and say, yes, I've checked the colors, I've checked the barcodes, the copy and everything. So you can see you can create these amazing checklists for different teams to go through, and they're able to be make sure that all of these things are checked off. Okay, so with this looks great. I'm going to send this proof out. So I click on send proof. That's going to send the proof out for approval. And if we go back over into Asana, we can see now on our board, the game flyer is now in proofing. So the status has been changed. And again, those in charge of looking at and tracking things inside of Asana can see, okay, that's now in proofing. If you click into it, it gives some more technical information down here in this PageProof widget that you can see has loaded inside of my task, saying it's in proofing. It's currently at step 1 of 4, so you can even see which step it's up to inside of PageProof as well. So now you've got information inside Asana about where your approvals are up to and what's going on. So let's switch into the mode of being an approver. So I'm going to view this in PageProof. So let's click in, and it takes us to the PageProof interface for approvals. So you'll see straight away the checklist has popped up, and that's going to show me all the things that I need to go through. I'm not going to go through this checklist. We make sure we are making good use of our time, but essentially what happens is that you can go through as you do the task. You can just check them off inside of here. Okay, so here's our piece of material sitting inside of PageProof. Now you'll notice if I go here for the very first time, PageProof actually will take you through a walkthrough. It shows you that here, these are the review tools. The content is in the center of the screen. So this content can be imagery, video, Figma, Canva, you name it. You can put any file type you like inside of PageProof and it will display here. And then over in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the most important button in the world of PageProof, which is the finished button where you can go and make your decisions. So there we have it. Now, just to show you exactly what you can do here, here we have a pen tool, and you can use the pen tool to actually mark up on the proof. And I can see in here, we actually have some shoes that probably shouldn't be that color. So I can say, hey, that shoe and also that one there. So I can literally draw directly on here. Comment pane rolls out from the right-hand side, and I can say, these should be white. and then add that comment onto the proof. So one thing I want to point out with the commenting, you have formatting, full formatting capabilities inside of here. There's an emoji library if you love emojis, and you can also mention other people. Just type the @ symbol and you're able to mention other people and draw their attention to your comment and things like that. So all of those functions are available. I'm going to add that onto the proof. Now you'll notice that the comment also has reply, so people can actually leave replies about things directly inside of here as well. So this is one thing I wanted to change inside of here, and can use the freehand drawing pen to do that. Now the zoom tool, if I zoom in a bit closer here, I'll use this zoom rectangle here so we can zoom into this area. I can see there's a few problems here as well. So I'm going to use the red pen tool. I can see that, we need to really check the spelling of this. So let's check the spelling, especially garden. That doesn't look quite right. So I can add that comment on there as well. And I can see there's also Panthers should probably finish with an S. So again, I'm going to just highlight that. So hey, look, this should be an S, and just add that on as well. Okay, so I've marked up some features on here. So there's a few things that need to be changed. And there's a few other things I want to just check off as well. And this is where you can actually get into some of the other tools inside of PageProof, and I'll come to that in a moment. But the simple use of it is use the pen, place the feedback, and once you're finished, press the green button down here. And in my case, I would say changes, please, and that would submit my decision on the proof. So that is the basic flow of using PageProof for your approvers, regardless of that media type. So as I said, at the moment, that's an image, but that could be video, that could be Figma, it could be a PowerPoint presentation. It doesn't matter, we support all of it. But the idea very simply there was just use the pen, place the feedback, press the green button, job done. Now, there is a bit more to the platform than meets the eye. So you can come over to the widget over in the corner here. I can click into this, and it's telling me some information about the proof. So the size of the imagery, the file name, and the file size, and a few things. So that's useful for just checking a few technical elements. If I go into the magic tools, this gives us access to things like the ruler tool, where I can now measure elements. So I can say, well, how big is this? And what about this here, across here? How wide is that? So you can go through and use the ruler tool for measuring elements. There's also grid lines on here. So if I want to use the grid lines to just make sure, is that actually centered? Yes, his foot is centered down the center. That's great. And have we got it even across the top here? That's great as well. So you can use the grid lines to actually make sure things are aligned the way that you would expect, which is handy. This particular piece of work, and this is really, really prevalent in social as well, but again, if you're looking at packaging, like for instance, if we're looking at a basketball that's in a box and the box has a barcode on it, barcodes and QR codes, how do you check those? Well, today we pick up our phone and we point it at the screen, and people in our office can see us doing that. If we're working from home, our families can see us holding our phones up to our screen. That's very odd. Anyway, so you don't need to do that, because in PageProof, under the magic tools, there is a barcode scanner. And when you use the barcode scanner, it scans over the work and then highlights for you any of the barcodes or QR codes. And it even unfurls the barcode or QR code up the top there. You can see it's got a destination up there and the height and things. And if you click into this, you can actually open that URL in a new tab to check it. Or you can say, hey, I want to make a comment around this. So you can actually create a comment referring directly to the barcode or QR code that you have inside of the work. So it's another example of the sorts of things you can do here. Now, there are other options. If you are wanting to check accessibility and things on your work, we have got things like a color contrast check inside of here. So you can actually choose like a text color and a background color, and PageProof will give you a rating for accessibility on that as well. So that's extremely useful for making sure things are the way that you expect them, and that other people in the community can actually access and read the information that you've got. So you can do all those checks. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is send this back. I now want the designer to make these changes. So I can just go in here and say changes, please. And that is going to submit my decision on the proof and make sure that that is now back with the team. And I'm going to know that it's back with the team by going back to Asana. So you can see now our game flyer has moved into work in progress. So it's a bump down here and it's marked as to-dos requested. How did that happen? Magic. So inside of Asana, we have rules. And the great thing about rules is that you can set rules and trigger things based on the information coming back from PageProof. So inside your customize, you can go into your rules, and this is a really great way you can talk to the Surface team about this, about how do we actually set up these rules and how can we move all these things. But you can see I've got some rules here which move things around inside of Asana based on the information flowing over from PageProof. So really helps with the automation and keeping things moving really quickly. So I can see, okay, that's now back in to-dos requested. I'm going to now switch hats. Okay, I'm going to become a designer all of a sudden. And I'm going to use a tool here, which is Photoshop. So this is an example of a PageProof plugin. So this panel that I'm moving around on screen right now, this is a native PageProof plugin for Adobe Photoshop. This plugin is an example of the integrations that we have with the Adobe tools. This is available also in Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere Pro, After Effects. If you're using Microsoft Office, we have that in Microsoft Office as well. Figma, Canva, Adobe Express, you name it, PageProof has a plugin for it. And the great thing about these plugins is the designers can bring the feedback directly into their artwork. So they can come in and actually bring this straight in to their artwork, and you can see all of the changes inside of here, which is really, really useful for the designers to do. Now, you can do this, and it means that you're able to really quickly see all the changes directly inside of the artwork. And so you can go through and actually see the markup inside of here. So we're going through and doing all of the changes inside of the platform, inside of Photoshop. So I can go into Photoshop and actually see where the changes are and make all those changes directly inside of the platform. So that's super useful for anyone who's working inside of Photoshop. So if I click onto this comment here, you'll see it's put the markup directly on top of the Photoshop file. So I can see, oh, okay, this should be an S. It's actually circled it in my Photoshop file, which is really cool. So I can make that change, and then there's a checkbox here to mark it as done. So I can go through, make the edit, mark it as done, and then move on to the next one. So this one here, you can see it's automatically highlighted. If I click here, you can see it. If you look over in the artwork, I'll click on this comment here. It's showing me exactly where the change is. So I can now go through, make that change, and then mark that off as done. This is a really great feature. And if you're a designer, you're saying, wow, this really speeds up the ability for the designers to turn around the change as fast as possible. So these shoes should be white. I'd use some magic to actually make those changes and then mark that off as done. And then we'll see there is my edited piece of work. Magic, isn't it? And then I can upload a new version. So yes, I've changed the, put the S on the end here. I've corrected the spelling of garden, and I've made these shoes white. So from directly inside of Photoshop, I can just say upload new version. So I go upload new version. Yes, I'd like that updated. I'd like that to go up as a PNG, please. Click on upload. That is going to now take that and put it into PageProof for us automatically. So it's going to just come straight in and take us to the setup screen again for version 2. So there we can see there's version 2 in place. Everything here looks okay. My workflow, I'm going to use the existing workflow. So I just check that if I wanted to, make sure that is the way exactly that I want it to be. And then I can just upload a new version directly from inside of here. So you can change workflow if you want to. So you can come in and say, current workflow, or I can use a completely different workflow if I wanted to, or I could even choose a different stage of the workflow. Start it from here. The creative team don't need to check it again, so you can start it. So you can skip your workflows as well. But I'm going to put that new version up. It uploads it into the platform. And then if we go over into Asana, we can see the new version going up inside of Asana as well. So it's really, really useful for your design teams. They can go in and do that. So if I come back over here, we will take a look and see now that that has been updated. Our game flyer has got a new version. So you can see there's the new version there, and it's gone out for approvals again. So really, really quick and easy for your teams to be able to put in the new work directly into the platform. Now, some of the benefits of this, of going through and doing this, is that you're able to do things like put this into compare mode. So let's have a look here. This is my proof that we just upload the new version. We can see, yes, all these changes that we asked for were made. How do I know? Well, very simply, if I click down here, I can see I've got a version menu. So I can go back and look at the previous version. So there we have it. There's the previous version of the work with all the changes that we needed. There's an icon here that says compare. Now, if I click on the compare icon, it puts the two pieces of work side by side. So I can see that's what it was, and that's what it is now. So if I click on the Smart Compare button at the bottom of the screen here, PageProof is going to show me where the differences are. So I don't really need to sit there and try and figure out, I wanted the sheet. It's done. There it is. It's showing me exactly where the differences are. And for those that really like to use things like a slider, you can use the slider tool here and flick between the two versions if you want to as well. So some really nice tools here for actually checking work and making sure things are the way that you would expect. We also have a little bit of technology here called Smart Check, and Smart Check is going to show you where the technical differences are between the two files as well, so you can make sure that is the way you'd expect. Well, I think this all looks great. So what I'm going to do is go into here, and we're going to approve this piece of work. And it's just a matter of going in and saying, this is approved. And that's going to update the information inside of Asana as well. So if I go back over to Asana, that is going to update the information directly inside. And you'll see now that it's moved the game flyer down into the approved section in my Asana board. I've got the approval right here. If I click into this, the great thing is PageProof is actually going to give me the final approved file directly here as an attachment. So if you look, there is the final approved asset copied back into that task inside of Asana. So we really have got a full workflow here, and the integration between Asana and PageProof, and of course all the design tools, giving you everything that you need for managing this sort of work. So that was just a run through an example of exactly what you can do using the platform. So let me go back now to my slides, and we'll just excuse me here. Okay, much better. Let's go back into here. Okay, so what we looked at there was being able to actually see how quick it is to get those approvals done. We can see we can involve everybody inside of that collaboration. We can use those workflows to bring everybody in. Checking to make sure things are on brand. It's a visual asset. You can check it and you can make sure things are exactly right. And all of those creative approvals are all stored inside. You can see the approvals come back into your Asana task. We actually even give you the asset back there as well. So you've got everybody seeing everything that's been approved, and you've got a full audit trail as well. So super useful for those teams that are doing a lot of assets and getting things out. Now, the impact, it's all very, very well me telling you, hey, this is a great tool, you should all use it. It's true. Just adding that to your Asana gives you that functionality. But what we've seen over the years are these statistics where, rework has dropped dramatically. So you've got people approving things and then not sending out mistakes. So 53% reduction in rework. So that's a huge, huge task to accomplish. And we're very happy to say people are experiencing a huge, huge reduction in rework. Design productivity, if you think about what I was doing there inside of Photoshop, being able to see the changes right there in front of me on my artwork. I'm not running multiple screens. I haven't got email open trying to find where the changes are. It's right there inside of my design tool. big increase in your design productivity, 38% increase. Workflow efficiency, just being able to go through and get this work from a concept through to approved, you're going to see, hey, we are now doing a fewer number of changes because people are actually all working in the same tool. And in terms of your workflow, finding where changes are and just keeping track of everything, 40% increase in your workflow efficiency. So you can get a lot more work through. And that last one, review time. This was an unexpected thing that we saw was when people get into PageProof, the reduction in the review time dropped quite dramatically because people were able to get into the tool, make their changes, and get out. They were able to do that as quickly as possible. Now, if I sent you a video via email, for you to actually mark up that video or even just download the video and figure out how do I even do this now? Okay, open Word and I'll type at 1 minute 20, do this at 1 minute. All of that is gone. And your review time is dramatically reduced. You can simply watch the video on screen, grab the red pen, draw on the video and say, this change needs to be made, and get back to your full-time job. So reduction in review time, massive increase. Okay, so that is the demonstration today. I wanted to just go through. It's quite detailed, showing you exactly, but look, there's no better way to show you than to show you. So we've got Asana managing all that work for us. You can see status updates and all of the information being contained inside of Asana, and PageProof handling those approvals. So I'm going to hand back now to Maki to sort of close out and go through any questions if we've got anything.
Thank you so much, Marcus. I've got some questions for you. There are a few that came through, and so I'd love to just understand. Thank you for that, by the way. Like, I never get tired of seeing, just the power of PageProof and how it connects with Asana. Especially love the rules, but like just jumping off what you just said there about the impact that PageProof has for teams. Let's talk about reducing that rework. What's the most surprising, outcome you've seen after teams have adopted PageProof with Asana?
Yeah, so the big thing that we see with teams, particularly rework, is in particularly things like packaging and anything that you get physically made. Now, one thing we've noticed in the world is everything comes in a box. So if you're going to buy anything, it's going to come inside of a box. So with packaging, you've got all of the stuff being printed, and it's one of the most expensive mistakes in the world. So if you print something, if we've got basketballs or we've got maybe T-shirts and things that are going into promotional material, and you push the button to send out, let's get printed, 100,000 of these T-shirts, and it's got a spelling mistake on it, it's the most expensive rework mistake on the planet. And getting a 50% reduction in those rework mistakes is dramatic for a lot of companies. And that even on social media, that's huge as well. Like, there's nothing worse than posting something and going, oh my gosh, that's wrong. And then you scramble to get that redone. Where's the designer? We need to change this. So just reducing that rework, I think, helps brands. It helps with in all ways across the board.
Yeah, that 50%, that's a huge reduction, right? We see that a lot with CPG brands and manufacturers as well. So great use case. I'm curious now about, for leaders, for people that are in legal. You mentioned that PageProof is obviously encrypted end to end, but can you share maybe an example of how PageProof thinks about confidentiality, maybe like highly sensitive materials within the platform itself?
Absolutely. So we have some of the largest brands in the world using PageProof for their pre-release material, and it was a design decision made 10 years ago, actually, which paid off as we come into the into the 2020s. So when you're working with anything that's pre-release, it's pre-release, and you don't proof something that's already in market. It's very rare that you would take something that's already, like a billboard that's already public, and proof it. There's, unless you're reworking it. But what we find is that companies they're working and they're iterating and they're doing a lot of creative, and they are really trying to get the work to the best it can possibly be before it goes out to the public face. And we built encryption into PageProof from day one. And the idea there, and we're the only fully encrypted review and approval platform in the world. And this means that anything that is keyed, uploaded, anything that is inside of PageProof from a commenting, attachment, proof point of view is fully end-to-end encrypted inside the platform, meaning if you're not on that proof, you have no way of opening that proof. It's just not going to happen. And that is really critically important for teams, because there are examples, I think, daily of someone forwarding an email attachment to the wrong place. And then the thing about email is once you send it, it's gone. You can't get it back. So this really, really dramatically reduces the chances of things leaking before they're released out to the public.
Perfect. Yeah, it sounds like what we do with Asana, right? Like you add a collaborator and then they get access to, that work. And so, I think we're thinking about access and permissions in the same way. And
Yeah.
on that email thing, any fans of The Office that are watching today, I'm sure you remember that classic episode where Michael forwards the picture that he shouldn't have forwarded. Put a delay on your email, people. Put a delay. I've got a 45-second delay on my email just for those cases. But glad to know you're thinking about encryption and privacy in that way. Got a couple more for you here, but like you showcased a lot of the different use cases and tools, things like the grid lines and the smart check. What are some of the more lesser known features of the platform that when people see them, they just go, and it becomes a no-brainer for them?
Yeah. So there's some really, really great tools in the plugins. So we've seen, you saw an example of me working in Photoshop. That's just scratching the surface on what those plugins can do inside the design tools. For example, if you're using Adobe InDesign, the plugin will actually make the text changes for you. So if someone's written a comment and they've written the correct spelling for a word or a sentence, you can just say, apply this change, and it will change the InDesign document correctly, keeps all the styling, and does all this magic. And we see designers going from spending, literally hours making all these small changes manually the old way to, with the PageProof plugin, they can literally cut that down to an hour or less and get those things turned around really quickly. So I think that's something that when we show that text replacement and things and attachment placing inside of InDesign, particularly, designers go, wow, I want that. Things inside of PageProof itself, each media type is treated and we honor that media type for what it is. So for example, if you upload a campaign of banner ads, HTML5 banner ads into PageProof, we'll animate those, but we'll lay them out on the screen as one campaign. So you can see all of the different banner ad sizes in one screen on one canvas, and you can comment on those. So that's a great thing. I think the other one that I think there's a lot, but emails. We can proof HTML email. So if you are using a HTML editing tool, I'm not sure of things like MailChimp and ActiveCampaign and all those anything. There's about 2,500 different emailing tools out there. You can send a test email from that templating tool into PageProof. We'll then render that email for you. You can check it on mobile, check it on this, check it on that. We'll resize it and everything for you. But one of the lesser known features is that we also do a link check. So we actually go through the links in the email and make sure none of them going to a dead destination. And we do that for you automatically and highlight any dead links in your email campaign. So that maybe is another example of some of the things that we do for the review process.
So good. And like you said, we've only scratched the surface, right? Like on the different features. One more here for you, but I love seeing the way you're thinking about automation and rules and connectivity, with Asana. Being the CTO, in your role, what can you share with us about like the future of PageProof, how you're thinking about automation and AI, like anything coming down that we should be excited for?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's things I can say and things I can't say because the CEO will, tell me off. But look,
Of
there's
course.
some, yeah. And inside the next 4 weeks, there is a major upgrade to the Asana integration coming, which is going to feed a lot more information into the task inside of Asana. And it's put in there in a way that AI, you can use AI Studio and the upcoming AI teammates to actually be fed proofing information and information related to the statuses and things in proofing that can actually then feed the AI inside of Asana to actually help summarize things or make a decision about adding this person in now and all those sorts of things. So the rules go from this to this in terms of, hey, that's what we're doing over in the proofing. This is what we're doing now inside of Asana. So there's some really great stuff coming in the next 4 weeks, which will, we know that our Asana users, we've previewed it to a couple of people, a couple of customers, and the jaws drop. They're like, this is great. This is exactly what we're looking for. So that's probably one thing that directly related to what we're talking about today, which is coming in the next 4 weeks. So look out for that. In terms of AI inside of PageProof, so we have PageProof Intelligence built into the platform. I didn't demonstrate any of that today, but PageProof Intelligence is a suite of tools built into the platform which do things like automatically tagging your proofing. So, you put in some promotional work for a campaign. It might be for Thanksgiving, and a year later you think, oh, what was that proof that we did last year? So you can just type in turkey. I'm just going to use that example, and PageProof will find all the proofs that have a turkey in it and actually show them up in your search because we have automatically gone through and tagged it with the PageProof Intelligence smart tags feature. So these sorts of things are being extended and added on. We're looking at brand checks, automated brand checks that are going to make sure that your work is on brand. All of these features are all coming up inside later this year and into 2026 as well. So some really exciting roadmap features coming.
Perfect. We did have a question come up here. It was simply about, are we sharing the recording? Yes, we are. But this individual wanted to share, this with their team. And so like wrapping up 30 seconds or less, what advice would you give to people starting with the tool, around adoption versus simply implementing it? Obviously, you can reach out to Surface. We can help you get started with it. But, like coming from you, 30 seconds or less, what would this look like? What advice do you have to people getting started?
Yeah, I think with PageProof, it's very, very quick to get started. So you can start a trial on our site or talk to the Surface team about getting that connected with your Asana and adding that in, and then they're able to help you with that. I think understanding your workflows, understanding what happens today inside your organization for your approvals, then you can explain it to people like Marquis and team on exactly what you do today. Don't worry about the dream of what you want. Let's look at what you're doing today, because it's really great to collaborate with the teams to actually work out the workflow. And then you'll see the magic happen with some great advice coming from others. But you can get started with PageProof pretty quickly. Trial it. We have a trial available for everybody to work with it and see the benefits from it, especially connecting it with Asana and getting someone to help you connect it up and get all those rules and things. You'll get the most benefit that way.
Perfect. Marcus, I can't thank you enough for joining us today and doing this and walking us through that demo. And like Marcus said, trial it, right? We've got a QR code. Take out your phone, scan it, or take a screenshot, put it in PageProof and scan it there, whatever you want to do. But we'd love to just get your feedback on the event for today. We've got a gift for you just on the common use cases on connecting Asana and PageProof. And we'd love to just give that to you for joining today. So thank you for joining us. Marcus, again, thank you so much. I know it's early in the morning for you there. So very thankful to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me, and I really enjoyed doing this. So thank you very much, everybody.
Of course. All right. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone. Thank you.